Is this a proper adventure bike or just a look-alike? Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so very much for watching, for liking the videos, for subscribing, and if you're new here, please click that red subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot, but only if you like the content. If you don't like it, I understand. I'll try to make it better. But for today, we are going to take a look at the SYM NH-T 200. This is an entry-level adventure bike, adventure style of bike, from SYM. Now they do make, at least here in Eastern Europe, they sell two motorcycles, the NHX and the NH-T. The NHX comes only in 125cc flavor, the NH-T comes in a 125, but also in this liquid cooled 200 variant. It's actually about 180 cc's, but they call it a 200, we're gonna call it a 200. But without further ado, let's get into it. And let's take it from front wheel to back wheel, and then we're gonna take it on a bit of a loop around the yard and see how it rides. All right, let's start up front. We have some chunky off-road looking tires made by CST. We have spoked rims, 19-inch rim up front. We have a 288mm front disc with a dual piston caliper. We have regular forks. We have our normal fender, a bit of a beak, our fairing mounted headlight, it's LED, both daytime running lights, these two strips on the side, and the main beam, and also the high beam and the indicators, all of them are LED. We have a small little windscreen. It doesn't do much, but it looks good. I would have liked, maybe somebody will make at some point an aftermarket screen, because you can unscrew it from here and maybe you can screw in a bigger screen to give you more wind protection. Coming around to the rider cockpit, we have a raised handlebar. As you can see, it's already on handlebar risers. We have our USB quick charge compatible socket. We have our ignition, and we have our dash. It's a digital dash with a rev counter up top, with speed, gear position indicator, odometer, fuel level, and battery voltage. And also our warning lights here. We have our indicators, our oil check, our neutral light, our engine check light, our water temperature light. It doesn't have a water temperature indicator, it just has a light in case the engine gets too hot. This will light up red. Fuel light warning, high beam, and ABS light. On the left handlebar, we have our passing light. It flashes the brights. We have our high and low beam. We have our indicators, normal operation with push it and then push to cancel. And we have our horn, normal standard horn. On the right side, we have our kill switch, our hazard lights, and we have our engine start button. Now the thing is with SYMs, if you're on the side stand, there's no way to turn on the engine. It will not start while it's on the side stand. Also, talking about the side stand, we have our regular side stand, and we also have a center stand. Now these are standard, these are not optional extras. Coming around to the back, we have our luggage rack. This is new for the 2021 model. The 2020 used to have just two bars here. Now we have a full standard luggage rack included with the bike. It has 5 mounting points, so it's pretty sturdy. It does say a maximum of 5 kilograms, but honestly it feels really sturdy. Out back, like I said, we have the rack, we have our exhaust with muffler protection. We have a 17-inch spoked rear wheel. We have a 222mm brake disc with a single piston caliper. We have our rear light, which is LED, our rear indicators, which are both LED, the tail section, passenger foot pegs, and coming round to the side, we have our rider foot pegs, which are made of, they're made of metal, but are covered with rubber. So in case you get into some muddy situations, your feet might slip on them. But considering this is made for light off-road, it's not really a problem. We have engine guards, factory fitted engine guards. So in case you drop the bike, you won't crack the cylinder case, the engine cases. Really nice to see this included. Rear brake. On the other side we have our gear changer, like any other bike. Here we have a 183cc single cylinder putting out about 18 horsepower and about 15 newton meters of torque. Now the 125s, both the NHX and the NH-T 125 are air cooled. Those make about 10 horsepower. This makes about 18 because it's liquid cooled. So we have normal piston, and here up front we have our radiator, our cooling radiator. Unfortunately, SYM does not offer crash bars or handguards, so you're gonna have to look into the aftermarket for stuff like that. In terms of underbody protection, we don't have a lot. We have this plastic fairing here and we have our exhaust pipe. So it doesn't have a bash plate on it, and I can't see how you could probably mount a bash plate, but probably somebody is gonna make one at some point. Now in terms of riding, and what is this motorcycle for? It looks like an adventure bike, it looks like an off-road bike, but coming in at about the 200 is 3,400 euros and the 125 I think is 31 or 3,200 euros. You can't expect to get pretty expensive off-road suspension for that kind of money. So we have a regular fork up front and a monoshock in the rear. These are not adjustable, they're just regular suspension. They do the job really well for the city, but off-road you can manhandle it off-road because you have a 19-inch front wheel and a 17 out back, and you have chunky off-road tires, but you're not gonna get the same performance as something, I don't know, like a Honda CRF. But then again, that costs about double what this costs. So half the price, 75% of the capabilities. I think that's a nice middle point for the beginner rider, for somebody who maybe just got their license, they just want to get into adventure bikes and they don't want to swing for the big adventure bikes because they're scared of the weight. This comes in wet and ready to ride at 152 kilograms, and believe me, it feels it. As soon as you get on it, you can feel just how light it is. And if I get on it, another thing that makes this bike extremely approachable for the beginner rider, if I get on it, side stand up, I'm not able to quite flat foot it, but I am extremely comfortable on it, and because it is so light, it's not a problem to just play around with it left or right. Now I am 175 centimeters tall with about a 32-inch inseam. Regular size, or maybe just you could consider me a little bit short. But I have no problem with this bike. Standing on it, one-legged, and just, it's easy, it's light. This is what happens when you have a light bike. In terms of riding position, let's get a better angle. This is the regular riding position. So your feet are tucked inside this fairing. This offers some wind protection for your knees. There's plenty of leg room. My feet are right beneath me, so I can get up on the pegs and ride on the pegs easily. The handlebars are nice and tall. I don't have to reach for them. It's a very nice, very comfortable position, very easy to ride position. And that's the whole point of the bike. It's supposed to be small, light, easy to ride for the beginner rider that wants to get a bit of a taste for off-road riding. Again, getting off it, no problem. So if you're in the market for something like this, for a small adventure bike, give this a look. If it's available in your country, go to your dealer, take it for a test ride, see how you feel on it. I honestly like it very much. The riding position is extremely similar to my Transalp, and that makes it feel familiar to me. but the weight being 50 kilograms lighter makes it really approachable for me. Actually, it feels a lot easier to ride than Alp does. But let's get it out around the yard and see how it rides. Come on. Alrighty, let's see how this bad boy rides. Now, it still doesn't have a license plate, so we're just gonna take it around the yard, but for 200cc it should be enough to get an idea for the feel of the bike. Normal key, ignition. Pretty quiet. Pretty quiet for a small displacement, but it does have a nice throaty sound to it. Also, to remember on SYM motorcycles, both on the NH-T, the 200 and the 125, and the NHX 125, if you put the kickstand down, the side stand, it will turn off the engine. So you can leave it running like this, only on the center stand, even if you have it in neutral. So even if you have it in neutral, if you put the side stand down, the engine turns off. But let's get it off the center stand and let's go for a rip. Now, first impressions. It feels extremely light. Now, I can't reach perfectly down. I can't flat foot it. I'm almost able to flat foot it, but I don't even need to flat foot it because it feels extremely light. Clutch is light. Goes into first gear without any fuss, and off we go. Now, the first thing you immediately notice is the position. The position is extremely comfortable. The handlebars are quite high and you sit perfectly upright. There is no windscreen to give you any weather protection. I would have loved somebody to make at least an aftermarket option to change this little thing and put a proper windscreen on it. But you stand perfectly upright. And the second thing you notice, just how light the bike is. It feels extremely light, extremely easy to handle, not at all intimidating. And that's to be expected because this, after all, is meant to be a beginner motorcycle. The gearbox is nice and easy, silky smooth. The suspension is a bit on the hard side for something meant to do light off-roading, but that gives it sure-footedness on pavement. Now, you don't have a water temperature indicator, you just have a water light here, so in case it gets too hot, that turns to red. But brakes are decent. The engine is quite peppy. For 18 horsepower, the engine feels very, very peppy. But that's what you get with the light motorcycles. You don't need a lot of power to get it going. The brakes feel really strong. Considering this won't get up to like over 100 kilometers really fast, the brakes are just what you need. Pulling on the lever, you can easily find first gear if you have to do an emergency stop. And let's see standing. Really nice standing position and quite easy to control the throttle while standing. We can even change gears while standing. If you want to learn off-road riding, it's a really good beginner bike because it's light, it's easy to manage off-road, the controls are exactly where they should be, The rear brake really comes the rear brake is really in a very nice position for your right foot. You don't have to search around for it, you can easily find it. And standing, really easy. This feels like a friendly motorcycle. That's the thing I'm getting from it. It feels like a friendly motorcycle. It's not at all intimidating, and I can have quite a lot of fun with it, and it feels like I can take quite a lot of liberties with it. The gearbox is nice and easy, the clutch is easy, the throttle is smooth, like it gets up and goes really nicely. The engine feels very peppy, it's stable, like here, no hands at 15. The front 19-inch wheels really goes over bumps really beautifully. You don't feel any shaking or stuff like that. You just go over bumps like it's nothing. Really nice, really nice and really fun. You can enjoy this quite a lot. But that has been it for a quick ride of the NH-T 200. Thank you so very much for watching, for liking the videos, for subscribing. If you're new here and haven't already, please press that red subscribe button so you can be here for the next adventures, next videos, and see what other crazy things I get up to. But for now, take care out there everyone, and ride safe. Goodbye.